We get to the school and we're waiting for the parents of the bully to arrive. When they finally showed up, we all went into the principal's office and started talking. And the parents of the bully, boy, were they heated. And they got even more pissed off when Alex was making snide comments. We understand that sometimes maybe our child is a little hard to get along with. Alex, well, that's a shitty excuse for your son's behavior. Well, you're obviously in trouble too, young man. Alex, well, isn't that just a shit-eating grin? Oh my god. You really think this is funny? You poisoned our son. Alex, really? Because I don't see it that way. Because your shitty son decided to bully me and steal my lunch, which happened to have a laxative cupcake in it. I didn't give it to him. I didn't force it in his mouth. He ate it on his own accord after stealing my lunch. My son is not a bully. This whole time, I'm just in the back seat, just sitting there like, oh my god. Alex, oh really? Is that so? How did the cupcake get into his possession? You know what? That's booby trapping, and that's illegal. The principal chimes in and is like, whoa, let's just calm down, and let's sort this out, and let's see if we can get the boys to be friends, and everybody be friends here, okay? Alex, I'm sorry, I'm not known to be friends with people who shit in their pants. Okay, Alex, stop that. The principal, listen, y'all need to work this out. Sit down and talk with each other. Maybe even go and have dinner or something. Alex, you know what? That sounds like a wonderful idea. I'll make dessert. Do you guys like cupcakes? Oh, God. After everything was all said and done, the suspension was taken off my son's school record and everything. He got a couple of days of in-school suspension, and that was it. Don't play with Alex.
Let's go, Jack. Let's go.
I mean, it's not hard when you just see something killed. Yeah, I mean, the second I killed, bro. Harry got time master again. Yeah, I feel like I can't get killed. I just run around
fucking hell. Coughing me, got a shot, man. motherfucker!
This is French just happened. It's French just happened. I'm surely this will be right. Me, I went to camp. Well, I was in an escort. Where were you? Yeah, I heard Harry when we very first got here. By the way, Harry went off. No. Me and Desi are starting to Oh, he's just cooked it. If anyone can fucking test stuff, it is Harry. Absolute masterclass. I think he maybe used 6 words and he's been thrown down here. Harry, what can't you? You have to do the numbers in order. Fair enough.
Motherfucker!
No. Okay, he's time master. He literally can't be So we got a big decision and man, I was way far away from it. I feel like I know who was there. Like I know who was big. Ethan, any comments? Yes. That's got it. Oh, there we go. We've got a 50-50 shot on the positive there. So that's good. Yes. So it's one of those.
Close loss, chat, close loss. Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
You want to vote both? No, but like you're going to use it now with now it's between two of them. They know to stay away from it.
Yeah, so you kind of want us.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Well, I'm going eat with these hounds. I'm going eat. I wasn't close enough to you, Nick. I was not close enough away from both of you. Nice. I actually think Nick tried to kill himself. Nick cooked us so hard. He's actually cooked us fully. I was trying to sample it. That's pretty good. How much do I do at this point? What do I do?
Well, I mean, this game is pretty much done. There's also, it's not really 50-50. It can also be 100%. That's both that and
That is unfortunate. That's the track kill. Time master. I'm gonna try and kill Vic again, am I? Because like, he's gonna protect himself. Oh, so there's about 10 seconds where I've got time shoot.
I've sampled fears. Dude, there's so much going on now.
What is going on here? Oh, come on, man!
Trying to hear me.
Good, got to hear it. How's your day been?
Begging for his back kill.
Try stacking up.
What we do?
It's time to go Vic again.
Well, Ethan's just gone and done it again.
It's crazy. Wait, did she? What's happened? There's no way you were putting out and it was clearly easy. You're standing in a like pile of like 5 people. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's easy. What he's done is he's just waited to kill Vic. As soon as the time's reversed, he's then killed Vic. Yeah. I think he's trying to stack kill it. No, I think this is going to Vic. That was so good. I can't wait to watch this back, you know. Literally this location is different.
Don't forget to sub to the channel, peeps. Hope everyone's having a good day. We'll be having an early stream tomorrow because I'm going to Old Trafford for the United game. It's been good. Spent time with the wife and kids, and now I'm streaming for the fans. Hoping everyone enjoys.
And I meant to try and awfully kill solo fucking 8 people.
Going to war over the ABCs. 2, 1, go!
I'm a sample that
Fuck that. No.
I think he was.
They started to play with us. Get all his own.
I didn't want to stand. Oh, no, look, I'm something big brain. Simon's gonna stand and then face on kill. I reckon. You would
How are you?
I'm fine, sexy. How are you?
Do I stay more than this long?
Come grab the yeah. Come grab the remote, sexy.
Yeah, I'm going to suck down.
Alright, it's got the glitch, man.
Okay, alright. Okay, it's brand new. No.
What? Stop this fucking right now. Number 1, it's simple. That's number 1. Number 2, it's not me.
I told you at the beginning. Did you try to kill me? Failed.
Number 3, I'm a chameleon.
I knew it! You're an electrical!
I'm invisible. So apparently the sword is dies in front of me. Where? Because I saw that you guys were electrical.
Did you get him, sexy? Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate, gorgeous.
It's one of the guns.
Nah. Hey.
Wait, hold on. If it's not JJ, it's JJ then. JJ safe.
It's not me, it's not me.
JJ safe.
Oh my god!
see his name. I saw his name.
Oh my gosh!
When I tried to kill me earlier and he was there, everyone gets killed. So we've got 2 3 balls with different people.
Ah, they used a shotgun, motherfucker.
Oh, Josh. Was I wrong? Alright. I cooked on that one. Now I don't know what to do. Did I see it wrong? No!
Sniper, you could have got shot down a bit quicker, man.
Here. We're all locked in here. Start locking doors. Freak everyone out. I guess I'll just sample Simon. Josh has gone invisible. I know that. I could kill him here, actually.
It's Simon. It's Simon. It's Marinate. I don't even know. I don't know. That's where I was saying stuff. I'm my life. Was it Deji walked in though? And I saw a body. It happened very fast. Oh. What happened?
JJ running like crazy. JJ running away.
Do I have faith in them? Probably not.
Wait, oxygen? No. I'm Simon now. No.
You know what? Put my faith in them. Put my faith in the other players.
Guys?
No! They're not wait.
Oh my god, it's done.
Guys!
Wait, they've done it.
I can't read it.
Okay, I'll be honest. That was completely accidental. I got the number wrong, and then I saw Simon in the screen, and I said Simon to be smaller than I am, and it was Simon. It was that amazing. Finn won the whole game immediately, because it was me and him running around.
It was just when he killed me, basically seeing you.
Yeah, I straight away went into the
What a ducker!
Somehow won it. I'm the greatest of all time. I win on accident. You know? Okay, so I've got 2 rolls, but in 1.
Here we have the wild Harry.
It's enough for me. I was doing Simon said you rudely interrupted me. I was straight left, no one had time to scan me. Oh, actually, anyone else on the start, right? Right at the start, you can start.
Yeah,
Can you? Okay, I didn't right at the start, you can. So I was in Simon said, Simon said, and no, I went straight to it, by the way. Straight, there's no time.
there we go, so there's somebody else.
I'm
mother ducker. Boom! W's in the chat, let's go! Look at that! Player of the match! Bang! Let's go!
I happen to know someone in here is invisible.
That's insane.
There you go.
Myself.
So tempting. It's like so tempting to do that.
Yeah, of course, like, everybody's still gonna go for it.
No! I was trying to message JJ before the meeting! So I could say it.
Yo, something else is suck. I can't see shit. People just disappeared.
Why did Nick just pop? What's he up to? Get fucking. What? I'm gonna have to call a meeting on you in a second.
You okay, sexy? Yeah, gorgeous. I got you. What?
He's still there. What are you doing?
No. What, the kids, yeah?
Me.
Will you throw my phone on charge, sexy?
Deji's dead
Sorry.
at the cooler meeting table, so I think he's either got killed off the wreck or he's just trying to report something. Vic, why is it fucking on my side?
I'm just seeing what task I'm doing. I've got Josh going to
This is what task I'm doing.
Josh Parker, Harry, when you
Oh, I'm getting that. Come on, let's do this, chat. Let's get back in the game. TV's gone off, sexy.
Wasn't on YouTube.
Well, I'm what you want, gorgeous. I'm not fussed, mate. I'm not watching TV, am I?
Put my program on download.
What program's that?
Amy.
Watch whatever you want, I'm not fussed. Fucking hell, we're getting annihilated here, chat.
For the first time across the UK, we have exclusive access to the investigations of Britain's most talented detectives.
We've spent years putting together all of these tiny pieces of evidence. The most bizarre investigation I've been involved in.
And share, for the first time, the methods and evidence that bring these criminals to book.
Tango to the United States. He had the drugs. There's a lot of money. And we did it.
Ah, you motherfucker, you caught your foot. Not good,
This
chap.
time, murder suspects on the run in the Midlands.
We've got two people here who've shown that they're capable of murder.
A burglar impersonating a policeman to prey on the elderly in Kent, and a multi-million-pound counterfeiting gang in Manchester.
Shit body goods and profit means that the people behind this are genuine organised crime groups. Police work, specifically investigation, is all about problem solving. I am the lead for the homicide unit for Northamptonshire. You get an immense sense of satisfaction when you get right result of the job.
During 2018, there had been a spate of killings across Northamptonshire. In the October, DCI White was working on the major incident team. He received a call about an event in the Upton area of Northampton.
It's around about 10:15 at night. I was looking, getting into bed, and the phone rang. The detective sergeant who was on the night crime car at that time was on the other end of the line. She basically said that we've had a shooting and we've got a person deceased in the middle of the road, shot in the chest. Can you come back to duty? By the time I got there, quite a number of people that included the lad's family.
The victim was a 22-year-old man who was father to a newborn baby.
In the early stages of the investigation, there's sort of a finite amount of time where members are fresh, alibis can be corroborated, where forensic evidence is fresh, and you're more likely to solve a murder, for instance, in the first 6 hours. So we really hit the first few hours after really hard.
There was no obvious motive.
Okay, 2 minutes, chap.
And what looked like a planned killing by very serious criminals.
We've got a victim on the ground. Do we have any witnesses? Do we know who the offenders are? Has a gun been left in situ? The shop near where the offence took place had CCTV. That was a real break from the investigation, the first major break that we had.
The CCTV had captured the entire event, including the moment the victim's car arrived and he got out to make a phone call.
Now that's really important to us. Who is he phoning at the point prior to him being murdered? He goes off out of the shot of the CCTV, then reappears a couple of minutes later at the point where the second car arrives. Our victim gets into the rear of the offender's vehicle. It appears it knows him. It appears there's no issue. And he sits there for around about 2 minutes, and then he gets out, and both the driver and the passenger get out as well. And very quickly an altercation takes place.
The victim was being pursued by the driver of the second car, but a passenger from the Golf he had arrived in also jumped out.
Some flashes from some gunshots, bullets were discharged.
A young father lay dead. 2 gunmen were wanted. Right now, there were very few. This investigation would require a range of highly specialist skills. Greg Taylor is a senior investigator at the National Ballistics Intelligence Service.
I'm a firearms and ballistics examiner for the National Ballistics Intelligence Service, and I was the primary scientist for Navy's on the operation. We examined firearms and ballistic material recovered from crime scenes.
Mark D. Giovanni at Advanced Laser Imaging was also brought on board to help make sense of the murder scene.
I'm a crime scene reconstruction expert. In all police investigations,
there are questions that police officers have. It might be around locations of people, lines of sight, trajectories. There are a whole host of information that's related to the environment itself. Historically, the way they could try and understand these is to go to the scene and try and recreate it physically. However, there are huge amounts of inaccuracies that don't work that way.
This elite team were codenamed Operation Pageant.
The victim obviously has a mobile phone on him and also has some identification. So that mobile phone was key for us. Who was the victim running immediately prior to the offender's
The second challenge was to see what could be determined from the small amount of forensic evidence found at the scene.
We had the bullet casings retrieved in a forensically sound manner and sent off to Navy's.
To start with, we received 3 casings from the crime scene. These were just left scattered on the street scene. Because you've got a fatal victim, there was a post-mortem, and we needed to recover the projectile from the body. The first job that we do as a forensic scientist is to look at those casings and try and understand things like type of gun that have been used. For an event where you've got 3 casings, you might have 1 gun, you might have 3 guns. When a firearm discharges and it leaves ballistic material, the markings that are on there are unique to the gun. With the cartridge casings that have been recovered, we were able to infer that they were likely from a Glock pistol. When the projectile came in to us, we were able to infer that that was from a 38 caliber revolver. There were 2 guns that had been used.
Meanwhile, the police detectives began analysing their
Sorry, I had to go toilet.
the victim's mobile phone.
We have a look at the phone and we can establish that he's calling a number ending 2895 immediately prior to the shooting.
Yeah, Daddy.
We need to find out who that is.
Kind of blunt, so she doesn't
A swift inquiry with the phone company outlined that it's pay as you go, so we don't get anywhere in relation to who that person is.
But the pay-as-you-go burner phone made a call immediately after the murder that the police could track.
This becomes a significant line of inquiry for us. Why is he receiving phone calls from 2895 and what is his relationship to the 2895 number? We track that phone.
The police now had the identity of someone they believed was connected to the killers and possibly a getaway driver. Their third and final lead was the second vehicle that had arrived on the scene.
The offenders were driving a Ford Focus. We know that for the shape of the vehicle, although we couldn't make out the registration number of that vehicle. We receive a phone call from the force control room outlining the fact that there was a car on fire in some wooded area and they believe it's a Ford Focus. Luckily for us, it's only partially burnt out.
That fire could have destroyed valuable forensics, linking the Ford Focus to the murder. So DCI White decided to also explore.
Babe, she's got both bottles banging them together.
You'd have to assume that if they were going to burn out a Ford Focus in a rural area like that, they'd have some means of getting away. The suggestion was that 2895 number called the third suspect and his vehicle were part of that escape mechanism, so we really needed to find him.
Within hours, their hunch paid off.
Early the next morning, a road traffic collision was phoned in from junction 13 at Milton Keynes, and the vehicle that was involved in that was the third suspect's vehicle.
October 2018. Operation Pageant was established to solve the ambush and murder of a young man in Northampton by a gang of 3 criminals. The police had identified a suspected getaway driver, but they had no names for the 2 gunmen. A car crash on the M1 the day after the shooting gave them a crucial breakthrough.
Early the next morning, a road traffic collision was phoned in from junction 13 at Milton Keynes, and the vehicle that was involved in that was the third suspect's vehicle. When he returned home, he was greeted with a welcome party from Northamptonshire Police and we had him arrested.
Police were confident this was the getaway driver, but he wasn't telling them anything.
street police vehicle from junction 13. And after examination of the vehicle, we found that the vehicle contained takeoff, which is actually a gold mine of information for us, and that created a trail of movement on that vehicle. The telematics identified that that vehicle had been on the same farm's track as the Focus, where the Focus was burnt out. So we could put that vehicle there. On there, that vehicle then travelled down to London. So we know that the third suspect stopped in London, in an area called Edmonton, turned around and came straight back within a couple of minutes.
You okay, gorgeous? What?
All the evidence suggested that the driver transported the killers to Edmonton. While units hunted the two shooters hiding in London, the investigation battled to piece together the evidence from the scene.
One of the issues we had was that the CCTV from the scene really didn't identify who did what at what time, and this could have been an issue of court for us. And I wanted to see if we could do something around creating 3D imagery.
DCI White turns to Mark DiGiovanni and his cutting-edge laser technology.
We capture the scene in its entirety digitally. We can take that back to the office. It allows us to carry out much more accurate reconstructions, and it allows us to produce a much better final product than the court.
I can't see shit.
Laser scanning. What this technology basically does is it fires a laser into a scene and then it measures the returning signal. It ends up picking up everything that device can see accurately into a 3D measurement. So what we end up with is an animation running through combining the CCTV and all of the information we've got together. So here we start to represent people coming out of the vehicle as cylinders. And as this person moves towards the group of other people, we see this little white flash over here, and that's actually our first gun flash. And we can freeze it at each of those flash points, and we can start to show where those people were.
Motherfucker.
What we can show is who wasn't holding the gun. And it's quite an interesting principle, is actually in the CCTV, apart from in a specific case such as shot forward we're going to see now, where the flash actually pretty much emanates from one person's hand, and we can prove that. In all the other cases, what we're actually doing is we're proving who didn't fire the shot.
We receive information back from Greg Taylor, neighbours, that he's been able to identify DNA of one of the cases. We can identify that the prime offender has, at the very least, handled that one.
14 days after the murder, the police now had two suspects. But the two gunmen were believed to be hiding somewhere in London until they received a critical
Jump in, peeps, let me know how your day is getting on.
Got some information through that suggested that our offenders will hold out in a flat in Northampton. I was a bit sceptical about this, to be honest. It made absolutely no sense that two people who were wanted for murder in Northampton, gone to London, potentially could have gone anywhere in England and Wales, returned to Northampton.
I got cocky there.
However, we follow up all information. We're keeping surveillance on.
Don't forget to sub to the channel, peeps.
We see a woman leave. She goes up to a chip shop. She buys 3 bags of chips. We know that we've got to do a warrant dead quick, because they're expecting her to come back with their evening meal.
Anyone in flat 3, show yourself!
The warrant is executed.
Okay, you! Step out of the flat, keep your hands in the air. Put your hands against the wall. And step down those stairs. Slowly. Slowly. Do not make any sudden movements, you understand? Okay, step down the stairs. Step down. Step down. Okay, listen to my colleague.
They count the people that are within the flat one by one. I was not expecting their names to be read out over the police radio, but the neighbour said that it was our suspects. So I was ecstatic. It was great. We need to interview them, but they don't say anything on the interview. They also never say, yeah, it's a cop. Nobody does in a murder interview. But we had enough to be able to charge them with murder and remanded in custody awaiting trial at Birmingham Crown Court.
With the suspects in custody, police believe they knew the motive behind the murder.
The first suspect was the cannabis. It was shortchanged between, depending on who you speak to, £10 to £40 by the victim. Somehow this got out.
8 months after the fatal shooting in Northampton, all 3 men were found guilty at Birmingham Crown Court. The first gunman was sentenced to life in prison. The second gunman was also sentenced to life in prison.
I got rid of grenade.
Both killers must serve a minimum term of 32 years. The getaway driver who drove them to London was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Distraction burglars are criminals who trick their way into your home by pretending to be a tradesman or an emergency worker or an official.
Boom!
It's a rare crime that forms less than
W's in the chat, let's go!
but the trauma can have a catastrophic effect on the victims.
Maybe do I take some of her stuff out?
And the criminal's favourite victims are the vulnerable or the ill.
Oh, Yoko's one of the two, supposed to me. Look at all of them there.
I just love the opportunity to help people. I think many other jobs give you that chance to do that. I would look at any burglaries that come in and try and identify.
Yo, peeps, don't forget to sub!
Police established the Chief Constable's Crime Squad in 2019 to focus on burglaries.
The crime squad is made up of 2 halves, so you've got the investigation side, you will deal with all the offences that are coming into custody. The disruption side has a lot of involvement in arresting the criminals.
Summer 2020, and the police were called after a burglary at the home of a retired elderly couple.
On Saturday, the 20th of June 2020, an elderly male and female were out in their garden. The elderly male came back inside the property about midday and noticed that his wallet and lots of cash was missing. He telephoned the police and reported. It was a very rural location, so there was a lack of CCTV, there was a lack of witnesses. The victim himself hadn't seen anybody go in and out of the property.
The victims were an elderly retired couple, and the criminal hadn't finished with them yet.
On the 6th of August 2020, the elderly male contacted the police and explained that a male had knocked on his door saying that he was a police officer called PC Davis from Canterbury Police Station. He referred to the earlier incident that the victim had reported and stated that he needed to come and identify some seized items at Canterbury Police Station the following day. However, when the elderly male had to explain this to his wife, she became suspicious and advised him to contact the police.
As well as the loss of money and items, the invasion of a home by burglars is often highly disturbing for the victims. The fact this burglar impersonated a police officer suggested he would stop at nothing to get what he wanted.
I think it smells like it.
The crime squad dedicated 2 crack officers to the case. PC Adele Tyler and PC Mike Eels.
I thought, did he show...
He's a very determined individual. He won't leave any stone unturned.
I'm currently a disruption PC on the Chief Constable's Crime Squad.
I could only jog up my head to a belly.
It's a different job every day. Obviously,
I'll pass it for you and do all that then and go get it, right? Just before my game starts.
Operation Canyon is up and running.
Because she wants daddy anyway. Look, she knows where she's got a big smile on her face. Look at her smile for your daddy. I'm gonna help daddy play. You help daddy play, look.
To be honest, I was completely disgusted with that. He's going around posing as us. Of course, people are going to trust him.
And the effect that has they'll now doubt everybody.
He basically just knew that there were elderly people living alone and he could take whatever he wanted.
On the same day, police were contacted by another gentleman living in the village of Women, close to the scene of the worst crimes.
Jump in, peeps, let me know how you're doing! What's it, baby?
The first victim, he had returned home and seen a male in his garden. The windows of his property were open and believed that the male had been inside. He confronted the male and the male then ran off. When the victim went back inside, he realised that his mobile phone was missing. This person is desperate. They
move, you idiot, man! What the fuck? Where did he come from?
Operation Canyon was established by Kent Police in the summer of 2020 to respond to a serious burglar masquerading as an emergency officer and targeting the vulnerable and elderly in villages around Canterbury.
A man was wanted to be a police officer. That's clearly completely outrageous.
This man is actually a criminal. He's not from the council. He's not from the fire service.
2 houses had been targeted, but his crime spree continued to escalate, and soon police received calls from a third victim, a 91-year-old suffering from dementia.
The offender was described as aged about 40, with mousy brown hair, wearing a grey green top and dark trousers. He now had 3 reported burglaries in a very small radius, targeting
using shotguns, little pants.
It was too much of a coincidence. Lit a fire with me, to be honest, to catch this guy.
Operation Canyon urgently needed to identify the criminal.
You stay far up.
You have to walk the scene, look for CCTV cameras, ring doorbells, dash cams.
We needed as much CCTV footage so that we could try piecing it together.
There was private CCTV from neighbours, however it wasn't clear enough to identify any suspects at all.
We noticed that there was a small white van involved in a number of the offences.
However, you couldn't make out any registration mark. We didn't have anything further to go on. We just knew that the male committing this offence was in a white van and he had shot once a couple of 100 yards away from one of the victim's properties. We thought we would just check it on the off chance he had gone into the shop or driven past the shop.
The officer's hunch proved to be a potential game changer.
CCTV showed a white van pulling up at 3:30, which was half an hour before the reported offence. They returned again the same day at approximately 6:15, just a couple of hours later.
The footage also suggested the burglar was not working alone.
A second male then got out of the vehicle and they had shot first, and from that piece of footage we were able to get a good facial recognition of male 2. And then male 1 entered the store afterwards, and we managed to get a very clean image of the suspect.
The first offender even took his sunglasses off, giving Operation Canyon a clear picture. Police at last had a visual ID on the burglar and the suspected driver, but still no names for the offenders.
All we had was CCTV of 2 males getting out of the van and white Citroen Berlingo.
We could use our own VR technology to get a registration for that vehicle.
Couldn't see shit, Jack. Couldn't see shit.
Automatic number plate recognition identified the van and
showed us who the vehicle was registered to, which was suspect number 1.
The CCTV didn't show them committing any of the offences.
And yes, they were in the local area, but that wasn't enough.
So we wanted to build a full evidential picture so that when they are arrested, they go straight to prison.
While one half of Operation Canyon gathered evidence against the suspects, PCEOs was sent out to keep an eye on their target and build a picture of their case.
As the disruption team, we deployed into the areas where we thought the suspects would be in order to try and get more intelligence around that vehicle. If we could find it on the move, see it without showing our hand and making them aware of the police interest in it.
Exactly 3 weeks after the first burglary, the suspect struck again. The victim was an 81-year-old female.
An elderly female was at home in Babsham. She was expecting somebody to come and fit some fire alarms. White van.
Ah, fuck you, you prick with your sonar goggles.
Said that he was there to fit the fire alarms. The female let him into the property and began making a cup of tea. The male then said he needed to go and get something from the car and he's never returned. And it was then that they realised that Bronstein jewellery had been stolen. Knowing that she probably won't ever get those items back, thought that the victim was extremely upsetting. There was no CCTV in the area. The witness sent us a picture of the vehicle that she googled on the internet and felt it was similar, and that matched exactly what we had already got from the shop.
But the criminals weren't finished yet. 5 days later, they attacked again. This time with the burglar pretending to be a council employee.
We received a report from an elderly female. This particular victim is severely disabled. She's unable to walk or get out of a chair, and she lives by herself. The male had walked through her patio doors and claimed to be from the council, started looking around her property and helped themselves to valuable items within. We identified a camera operator.
They had the shotguns to try and kill us down, but you ain't gonna fucking win it this way.
It's frustrating.
We're smashing it. Fuck you, bastards.
But the more times he commits offences, the more evidence we can build.
We had to arrest him as soon as possible. Ideally, we wanted to catch him in this vehicle, as this is what linked him to so many of the crimes.
2 days later, Operation Canyon were ready to strike back. CEOs took the team out with the aim to arrest the burglar and his partner in crime.
I stayed behind and prepared what we needed for the investigation.
It was really a one-shot thing. If we'd have gone to the address and they weren't there, we'd shown our hands.
Top one of them. Come on, chat. Go and get the other one.
Both of the suspects were in the subject van.
On that day, I was feeling a bit nervous if anything went wrong, but more excited to know that this guy was finally going to get what was coming to him.
He conducted a recce of the home address and the van wasn't on the driveway, so we spread out around the likely route, and after a few hours there was no sightings of the vehicle.
He decided to revisit the target house and get as close as possible.
I deployed on foot without any obvious police equipment.
To his shock, both offenders had returned home without being seen.
By a little bit of luck, I spotted the suspect getting into the van. This is the time we need to strike. It's time to go.
Jump up one, yes, that's what I thought. Bang.
The 2 targets in their van were up.
Both suspects were now in the vehicle. He took a rural route towards our bus. We believe he was aware of these vehicles following him.
Boom, W's in the chat, let's go!
On the wrong side of the road to make a quick exit from the vehicle. We boxed him in using our 3 cars.
Told you, no shotgun me, you did.
One of the suspects has tried to walk quickly away from the vehicle. He was arrested very swiftly. I was able to get to the van and arrest the second suspect.
At the moment you're under arrest suspicion of conspiracy to burgle, okay? We'll identify the spot of 2 people carrying out.
Thank you very much.
Investigation.
I think I jumped up in the air. I was so happy.
Great question. Something so strong. And can you do so like giving evidence?
It took a bit of time, a lot of planning, but it worked well.
It was a team effort. We had to work quickly to stop him from committing any further burglaries.
Right, before you got in there, it's been searched. You are wearing a seatbelt, you know.
I'm medical exempt from wearing a seatbelt because I've got on my back.
Okay.
Then we'll get to sub to the channel, guys. Babe, she's destroyed a bed.
The main suspect was very difficult to deal with in custody.
He refused to come out of the cell to have an interview.
We went into the cell, he became violent. He was extremely aggressive towards us, shouting and screaming. He threw a cup of water in my colleague's face and just refused to answer any questions.
While the Operation Canyon were trawling through the mobile phones of both offenders.
A very important line of inquiry was mobile phone data. We knew that all we had was a van and him.
that is going to go into some sort of special program.
It is indeed, and that was in his pocket, was it?
We wanted to make sure that we hadn't missed any offences, so examining the phone data showed him in the exact offence locations at certain points, and also in the surrounding area at various other times.
And when combined with the other suspect's phone being in the same location with the CCTV and the description,
just put the nail in the coffin, really. He was charged with 6 counts of burglary.
Both offenders were guilty. The burglar was sentenced to over 6 years in prison, reflecting the fact he had targeted the victims of the burglaries.
The victims were overjoyed. It was really nice to actually be able to tell them to know that they could sleep at night and not be worried about this man returning.
We're on the wall over the A, B, C.
Counterfeiting is now the second largest source of criminal income.
Whoa!
UK government stats show the annual loss to the economy through counterfeiting and piracy is over £9 billion. Counterfeiting is also believed to cause 80,500 job losses in the UK each year.
Motherfucker!
I've worked in prison for around 18 years now. I've worked in lots of roles ranging from serious fraud, murder investigations, and violent crime.
Kevin Ives is the lead detective of the Intellectual Property Crime Unit within the city of
Play you up as well.
The unit suspended more than 30,000
Let's
cases
go.
and dealt with over £100 million worth of counterfeit goods.
Counterfeit goods are any goods which are sold bearing a false trademark or a false name.
The criminals will counterfeit absolutely anything. This one, a baby carrier. I mean, what's the thing to counterfeit? It doesn't need me to explain what would happen if a baby carrier failed because it wasn't manufactured properly or had a fault.
These crime types are clustered around the country. In this case particularly, it was in the northwest of England.
In December 2018, the unit had intel
You motherfucker!
supplying counterfeit footwear and operating at a truly exceptional scale.
They were so prolific that their goods were showing up in other seizures around the country. So they came to notice the volume of their counterfeit output.
To tackle this unique crime, DI Kevin Ives pulled together a specialist team, including Detective Constable Darryl Fryatt.
On a case like this, we'll have a lead investigator. In this case, Darryl. His job it is to get the detail right and to drive that case forward.
My background is covert policing.
They're on zone C2.
As investigators, we can look at proactive tactics. I like it because it's the more fun and rewarding elements of policing.
The team was given the name Operation Blenheim.
Operation Blenheim was one of our biggest counterfeit jobs. This was an organised crime group supplying counterfeit footwear.
Trading Standards in Manchester had seized fake shoes being sold under the company name Apple Footwear as early as 2017.
They seized items from various markets all over the country. A sizable amount, I mean hundreds of thousands worth of Apple footwear. So to the time of the Air Max, every label you'd expect them to do. There's not one miss, so they've got it on the side. They've got the swoosh where you expect it to be, they've done the heel.
They're good quality clothes.
And every time a seizure happened, this Apple footwear would crop up. And the questions were asked, well, where's this coming from?
By 2018, Operation Blenheim had settled on the owners of Apple Footwear being their principal targets. Their base was in North Manchester.
We've got 2 people involved in it. There's a husband and wife team. And they're both directors of Apple Footwear. So then we sat around the table and looked at what options we had. And one that we picked was to monitor the imports coming in into the country for Apple Footwear to see what they were importing.
Motherfucker, she's a shotgun chop.
Find branded fakes as part of Apple Footwear's imported inventories. But their border force colleagues discovered instead only footwear with no visible branding.
Bad guys know that if they, for example, want to get 10,000 pairs of fake trainers in, they will import blank trainers and then carry some of the trademarks and logos to be stitched on whilst they're in the UK.
Finding the logos would help build the case. So Border Force monitored Apple Footwear's imports for 3 months.
Fuck's sake!
They're doing quite a lot of business. They should be putting quite a bit of stock.
But very suddenly, things changed.
Nothing came.
City of London Police established Operation Blenheim in 2018 to apprehend a husband and wife team suspected of selling counterfeit goods on an exceptional scale from their Manchester base.
Sheer volume of goods and profit means that the people behind this are genuine organised crime groups who are feeding into criminal money launderers, and all of that money goes to nefarious groups.
The police hope to catch the gang importing fake goods via their front company, Apple Footwear. But months of Border Force
stock
revealed nothing.
Nothing came in, no labels came in, which was disappointing and surprising. From what we knew from trade standards, they're doing quite a lot of business, which means they should be putting quite a bit of stock. The business was still running, we checked that, everything was still running as you'd expect.
Fuck off with your shotgun, you little fucking rats.
Importations, they changed their company name from Apple Footwear and Apple Apparel to TYSD Limited. That was changed on the day we started monitoring importations, which was a shame, surprising, you know, maybe it was bad luck. It was just a very bad time. It's the main reason why we didn't find any labels or footwear coming to the country. So this is one of the decisions we had to make, is what do we do now?
The decision was made for Operation Blenheim to turn their focus from the docks to a warehouse suspect rented in Manchester.
We changed the tactic to looking at them. We used covert methods. And that's where we established that this warehouse was somewhere that they both spent quite a lot of time. Massive warehouse. The amount of time they spent there led us to believe that that's where most of their stock is kept, and that's potentially where all the label and the counter is kept.
Despite weeks of further surveillance, very little stock seemed to be coming in.
We've had monitoring on for a couple of months now and nothing had come through. And it's one of those decisions where you make your own luck, you make a decision which could go the way.
The team still didn't have enough evidence to secure a conviction. Operation Blenheim faced a dilemma.
That's when we started looking at enforcement action. The decision was to draw up warrants for the warehouse, home addresses, and for the footwear store achieving trade standards. We had enough to put before a judge to say, look, we believe they're selling counterfeit goods.
The raid might deliver the crucial evidence required, but if it failed, the criminals would go to ground. It was a make-or-break moment for the case. Police targets were the shop, the suspect's home, and the warehouse.
I'm going to smash something.
I took a team to the shop.
That's good.
At the shop, we found our first piece of luck. We found a little van
Fucking
parked up
prick.
next to the shop. That was
Shotguns.
full of labels.
You okay? Yeah? You're really shaky. Sit down. Come on, sit down.
The husband was arrested, and thousands of branded labels ready to be sewn onto counterfeit shoes were seized.
At the home address, £15,000 sterling was found, $4,000. I did feel pressure on. It was a relief, but you realise that, you know, the evidence you got there is good. The bulk of the officers went to the warehouse as a big unit.
Body cam on.
At the warehouse, officers were immediately
Okay,
confronted
chap.
by hundreds of boxes of shoes.
There was a huge amount of counterfeit goods. We recovered more goods than we were expecting to the point where we had to put something in place to literally seize the warehouse and lock it down because we couldn't transport that amount of goods.
This was on the car?
277,000 pairs of footwear was seized. That came to a retail loss of 1.3 million if you're paying a recommended retail price.
The police had all the evidence they needed, but they didn't have the wife until they tracked her down to a local gym.
What language do you speak? Mandarin? Okay. When we get to the police station, we'll have a excuse me. Do you have a PIN or passcode for your phone? Brilliant.
The main evidence did come from the phone. A lot of images of counterfeit goods, a lot of evidence of selling counterfeit goods. Various videos of like a kind of self-teach on how to apply labels to each piece of footwear. We found evidence of a factory in China where the Apple footwear were being made and boxed up on a production line.
The husband and wife were charged with infringing trademark and money laundering.
I didn't think they actually received the gravity of the situation I was in. I mean, that only dawned on them when they were charged and we reminded them in custody.
At court, the husband was sentenced to 2 years in prison, while his wife received a suspended sentence. All of their assets were seized and their criminal operation had been broken. The thousands of fake trainers the fraudsters were selling were sent to a secret location and destroyed.
There's a great result, and I think it showed the industry what we can all do. Work together. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but if everyone does their job and fights inflation, we can all work together and actually get a good result.
I was really, really pleased with the result. I think that this was potentially one of the biggest suppliers of counterfeit footwear in the UK, and as a team we'd taken down that business, we'd taken down that criminal enterprise, taken it apart, stripped the assets and locked up the bad guys.
We got it. Allies capturing Zone B.
When hardened criminals repeatedly evade justice, elite police units are created to crack these toughest cases.
Police officers!
My role is investigating serious and organised crime. We are a covert investigative team.
For the first time across the UK, we have exclusive access to the investigation of Britain's most talented detectives.
We'll spend years putting together all of these tiny pieces of evidence. The most bizarre investigation I've been involved in.
And share, for the first time, the methods and evidence that bring these criminals to book.
Handguns coming in from the United States. He had the drugs. Pays a lot of money. A real who did it.
This time, a dangerous gang dealing drugs in Gloucestershire.
You don't want to show your hand too early because the criminals will simply change up their routine and you're almost back again.
An armed street robbery in Sleepy Kent.
For them, it's a 2-minute, 5-minute bit of work to get whatever they want to get out of it. They can leave a lifetime of issues behind.
And an organised posse stealing the UK's priceless history.
We don't call burglars night hawks, we call them thieves. Been in the police now for 24 years. Gloucestershire is a lovely place to live, lovely place to work with families. But from a policing point of view, like everywhere, there's always an underbelly. To every idyllic town, there's been a rise in gang criminality and that sort of mentality of people wanting to force their will on others.
In December 2017, police in Gloucester received reports of a spate of violence linked to one gang.
We had a series of violent assaults, ended up in an attempt murder.
This dangerous gang had a hold on drug dealing in the city.
They were based out of Gloucester, but they were dealing drugs to people as far afield as Stroud and Cheltenham. They had quite a wide connection of customers.
Given the scale of the network and the extreme violence involved, a specialist team were created to bring the gang and its suspected leader to justice.
I'm the senior investigating officer for that unit. Matt's responsibility as my deputy is to understand the intricate detail of the investigation. He's incredibly meticulous.
I oversaw the team of detectives who would look at all the information coming in and assess all the evidence we were collecting, whether that was from surveillance or the telecoms information we were able to get.
Dan is our lead investigator. He's the person that actually goes out and collates all the statements and all the evidence that we need.
The thing is, I don't stop. My inspector, Matt Phillips, sometimes has to say enough is enough now, and we have to draw a line on it.
Operation Solero was established in May 2018 to stop the cocaine dealing gang.
We do a different lifestyle to start with, and that's purely just to understand what time do they get up in the morning, what time do they go to bed at night.
We began to build a chart of who was associated with who, the locations they would frequent, and simple things just like which cars they were using so we could understand their movements. We can't just deploy surveillance willy-nilly on everyone. There has to be a compelling case of intelligence and information so we can get the relevant authorities to go out and conduct surveillance.
By June 2018, 4 weeks later, they had identified that the gang's leader had a number 2, who he trusted to run the illegal enterprise.
I'll make that won't be hands-on. He's not going to go collect the drugs. He's not going to be handing them out to the drug dealers.
This number 2 was our main focus.
He had 2 careers effectively. He worked as a personal trainer and he was a volunteer as a DJ on a local radio station.
He was the person going to meet all of the lower level suppliers. He was going to lead us to the other people who were involved.
Surveillance started to follow the gang's number 2.
He was linked to an address in an area called Willow Leeds.
We thought this was probably a place where he was storing his drugs.
He would frequently attend there and then go on and have short meetings in his vehicle. He would meet in a lay-by or pub car park, someone would jump in his car just for a matter of seconds and then be gone. And they had all the hallmarks.
It's all opera phone.
Not
very nice, is it?
Whilst selling to end users, they would split a kilogram block down into 9 ounces or quarter kilogram.
It was.
And then sell
He got in the car. He made me get in. Sat in the
Crucial to
driver's seat.
investigation like this is understanding the mobile telephones they use
Turned round,
and
looked
who
at
they
me and
communicate with
Dad,
on a frequent
what
basis.
was it? Jess.
Most of the people that were involved in this had BQ Aquarius phones.
These phones were highly encrypted and hugely expensive, which gave fresh clues about the significant scale of the cocaine deal.
EncroChat was a piece of software that was based on these phones. You could only communicate with people that allowed access, so that they had this very secure network of encrypted communication. The box standard drug dealer doesn't have these phones. There's only one reason why you have these phones, because you're at a particular level where your profit margin is such that you can afford to have one of these phones.
Whilst these encrypted phones were being used by the gang, police remained one step behind. Until they could understand how the gang were communicating, continuing surveillance was their only real option, and the police still didn't know where the gang's cocaine supply came from. Until a key breakthrough, 8 weeks into the investigation.
His number 2 met the vehicle. Interestingly, on this occasion, he went into the vehicle with a bag and came out without a bag, effectively empty-handed. That made it look to us that potentially he was paying for some exposed to giving them drugs. Once we started to research that vehicle, we understood that it simply travelled to London that day for a couple of minutes and then made the return trip back to London.
We start realising then that this is likely to be our courier vehicle. That really opened up an investigation for us.
Now I had a car, now I had a face,
and I would be able to do so much with that.
The team were now confident that the drugs started in London, but police had no idea who the courier was and didn't know who he worked for. DI Matt Phillips accessed the National Automatic Number Plate Recognition Network, known as ANPR. These cameras placed on roads across the country record every number plate that passes by.
We began to look at the automatic number plate recognition system to understand where in the country the vehicle travelled.
He was using a Citroen D3 or something, a very nondescript car, a little family car, no one's ever going to really think of that.
And we could see it really travelled across the whole of the southwest on a daily basis. It had all the hallmarks of a classic courier vehicle.
We were also able to go back historically to understand how many times he'd been before, what his routines were when he came into Gloucester.
But the police hadn't identified the man behind it. The Mr. Big supplying the Gloucester gang. And they still didn't have the evidence to link the gang's boss to any of the cocaine.
You don't want to show your hand too early because the criminals will simply change up their routine and you're almost back at the beginning again. We arrest his number two. Someone like the head of this organised crime group will just find somebody else the next day and the problem will keep going.
Gloucestershire Constabulary established Operation Solero in 2018 to snare a prolific and violent drug dealing gang.
We had a series of violent assaults, ended up in an attempt murder.
Police had discovered the gang's number two would regularly receive supply drops from a London-based group.
He would have short meetings in his vehicle in a lay-by or pub car park. Someone would jump in his car just for a matter of seconds and they had all the hallmarks of a drug deal.
But they hadn't identified the Mr. Big behind the London group, and they still didn't have enough evidence to connect the Gloucester gang boss to the crime.
It became apparent the head of this organised crime group no longer had access to his encrypted phone. He had to resort back to a normal, what we would call a burner phone, a cheap phone that you can use for a few days or weeks and then throw away.
This was a major opportunity for police to link the gang boss. In October 2018, 4 months into the surveillance operation, there was a second significant.
We were able to capture text messages to the subjects after we seized the phones, talking about delivering paint and needing paint pots. In my mind, it's all code. It was quite amusing, really, because the two that were seen on surveillance handing over paint pots to try to avoid being caught.
It was the first time the police surveillance operation had caught the gang boss handling what they suspected were drugs.
The decision above me had been made that we had to move to an arrest phase. It was time that we actually started to take some people out, arresting them and hopefully seizing drugs.
At the end of October, and with the gang boss at last implicated in the crime, police moved to try and build their evidence base by arresting street dealers in the act.
Next time we saw number two supplying a lower level drug dealer, we were going to take action.
Within a couple of days, two opportunities presented themselves, and the subject went and met a customer. We knew who those customers were because we'd identified them already as part of the operation. We could be fairly happy that there would be a drugs exchange. Ian Fletcher made the decision to have the cars stopped if they were in a car, or the person stopped if they were on foot. On the first occasion, it was a gentleman who lived in Stonehouse. He had met a number two local in Gloucester and was travelling back in his vehicle when officers stopped that car, and he was found in possession of a quarter kilo of cocaine.
We were starting to gather evidence by arresting people that were being supplied so that we could say to the court that we saw a meeting between these two men, and after that we went to stop the person who bought the drugs, and lo and behold they had drugs on them. We're asking the court to infer that all the other times when we didn't take drugs out, the exact same thing was happening. The pattern is the same. So important, the pattern. We identified that person that was operating more in the actual city centre, more on foot. The surveillance team had deployed, and we knew that he'd met with a male, and we had the arrest team ahead and waiting. It's a really delicate, really difficult situation because you don't want to make too much noise.
We work really strongly with our tactical operations team. They're overt police officers. They can, if need to be, enforce a stop on a vehicle, so do it very dynamically so people don't have the time to discard drugs or throw their phones away.
After 5 months of surveillance on the gang, police had enough evidence to arrest the leader and his number 2. Their ambitious plan was to arrest them both and bring everything to an end. Operation Solero targeted the next cocaine drop by their London-based supplier.
We saw an exchange take place between the two of them, and we saw the suspect walking back towards the police flat with bags in his hand. And that's the time when I made the decision that we were going to strike. He goes around to our house shed there. And very shortly after, a number of police officers come running in and arrest him in possession of what appeared at that time to be large quantity of cocaine.
Still me and the guys were having sniper shots at each other at fun.
While the number 2 was caught with the drugs, the gang's leader was with friends and family nearly 60 miles away.
Immediately our attention switched to the head of this organised crime group, who was actually in a restaurant in Cardiff. So at that point we knew it was important to get him into custody at the same time before he became aware of the arrest back in Gloucestershire.
In the restaurant, we used the CCTV to actually show when he was using the telephone. Something had happened to his encrypted device, so he started to
Thanks for the follow, Lady M31.
We'd say, without doubt, those
don't
calls
forget
had
to
been made
subscribe to my
speak
channel.
The person who was controlling and supplying the drugs from London.
So when officers went to identify themselves so that they could arrest him, he tried to run away to start with. He ran through a car park and threw a number of mobile phones on the floor, but fortunately the officers were able to catch him and seize the mobile phones, which later gave us a bit of an answer to one of the pieces of the puzzle.
Analysis of the phone provided the biggest breakthrough yet. The identity of the Mr. Big in London supplying the cocaine.
Initially I called him London A because I didn't have a name, but I had a phone number for him. And that was the number that he was speaking to our principal target. He used that phone to call the council that he was living in, and I identified the person who was supplying the drugs from London. He was communicating with an encrypted device that was a match to the other devices.
Let's put the camera back on.
Information markers so that
one.
he tried to leave the country, we would know, and then we'd be able to arrest him.
After a 6-month investigation, police had enough evidence to take down both the Gloucester gang and the London connection who supplied them cocaine. They waited for London's Mr. Big to make a move.
It was, I think, maybe about 10:30 at night on a Sunday. Got a phone call. It's Luton Police here, and we've got your man. He had 10 grand stuffed in his shoes. Really expensive, sunglasses and all like designer gear and everything. I went with the search officers to London, so didn't sleep that night. I came back with all the evidence from the house, didn't sleep that day. I prepared my interview, didn't sleep then. Went and interviewed him, buzzing the whole time through.
Operation Solero seized 2 kilograms of cocaine, but they had evidence of a further 24 kilograms of cocaine, with an estimated value of £1 million. They also found £100,000 in cash.
Can I have it, please?
The Gloucester gang boss was sentenced to 12 years and
What about the cash, by the way, people?
His number 2 was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Canadian courier was sentenced to 8 years in prison. And his boss, the real Mr. Big, was arrested at Luton Airport and sentenced to over 8 years in prison.
I've worked so hard to get this guy, and to have it there in front of me was just brilliant. And the work that I put in on that meant that he pleaded guilty in interview. He actually gave me a prepared statement where he said yes, it was me.
You know what? It's not very often you see them get the top guy.
Robbery with threats of force or violence is considered extremely serious. It
We're on a war over here, me, and says, jump in chat, let me know you're getting on.
Rising rates of street robbery have become such a concern. The government has injected almost £20 million into tackling this specific problem. In England and Wales during 2021, On average, there were 42 incidents every day of a knife or sharp-edged shield being used in a robbery.
It's generally a nice place to live and work. I've lived here all my life. We have a border with the Metropolitan Police and other forces and the coast, so there are challenges within Kent Police.
Kent is an old county with over 18,000 listed buildings. But in 2021, this picturesque region has youth unemployment higher than the national average, and drug use is an ongoing problem.
The criminals have a range of motives. At the core of that sometimes is substance misuse, drug taking, renouncing crime.
They got me.
They choose to commit crime. Other times it's because they want to make money and they're not interested in going to work to do that.
February 2021. Reports of an armed robbery on the High Street of Red came into the Chief Constable's crime squad. It was a shocking incident in a normally quiet town.
It's quite a small community. To be frank,
what the fuck happened now, man?
During the day in the street is a rare event. For this suspect to use the threat of any weapon, it shows the level he's prepared to go to. And when it happens, it's obviously quite grave, quite serious, quite impactful on the victim.
Putting a specialist team onto the crime quickly was a top priority.
Sophie and Scott were selected to investigate this case. They've got the skills and the ability and tenacity to identify who the suspect may be. Sophie West has been with the team since its inception. She's a really solid investigator, very intelligent.
I'm very nosy. I like investigating things that get to the bottom and find out what's happened. Seeing cases on the TV always fascinated me, and I enjoyed watching crime documentaries, which sounds quite geeky growing up, but no, all inspired me to be a detective.
Scott came from an intelligence background and he's able to adapt that to evidence and investigations.
I got into policing at the age of 22. I'd wanted to do for a few years something that really interested me. So I wanted to go and have a try, and a good few years later I'm still here, so I must have made the right decision.
Sophie and Scott work really well together. They're both very tenacious, and they also look a little bit further and a little bit deeper to identify lines of inquiry and evidence that others might not spot.
The operation was up and running, and the crime-fighting duo needed to talk with the victim, a lone female.
With investigations like this, you're worried that the offender can commit another offence before you can get hold of them.
We needed to go down to the end. We needed to visit the victim, to introduce ourselves as investigating officers.
And got a detailed account from her as to where she'd been and where the offender had gone. She was clearly very, very upset, very emotional. I don't necessarily think it enters the thought process of the offenders. But there is a 2-minute, 5-minute bit of work to get whatever they want to get out of it. They can leave a lifetime relation behind.
It was a Sunday afternoon. This lady was walking along, taking some money to a friend who unfortunately couldn't leave their house. She had somebody say, "Excuse me." She stopped and she turned around. The man said to her, "Do you have some coins? I'm homeless. I need some money."
And she produced a pound and then gave him the pound.
He became threatening and then quite aggressive towards her.
He produced a small bladed article. He was jabbing this towards her and being more forceful in his tone.
She took the quite drastic decision to run out in the road in front of a passing car. She flagged down, and at that point the male, he ran across the road into the graveyard, and they didn't see him again.
The willingness to use a sharp weapon meant the police were concerned that the offender's next move could prove even more serious. The team needed to quickly gather evidence.
We decided that we would walk up and down the high street to look for any CCTV cameras which may have captured any images of the offence being committed.
From those CCTV bits and pieces, it was quite clear that the offender had seemingly come from the bottom end of the high street.
We collected an image of the suspect.
It was heard up between tight around his face, and he had a green mask covering up the lower half, so you don't really see his eyes.
He was wearing sort of off-white coloured trainers. We were aware that these are the clothing we need to be mindful of researching.
You could could make out he was a male. You could make out he was tall and slim, but not much more than that.
By the end of the first day, police had exhausted all of their video footage, but had no positive ID for their suspect.
We got as far as we could with the CCTV. We really didn't know who this chap was.
Fuck off, man.
Kent Police established Operation Fathom in February 2021 to swiftly solve an armed street robbery.
Fucking hell, man, I'm respawning and on top of me, man.
Use the threat of any weapon that shows the level he's prepared to go to.
For them, it's a 2-minute, 5-minute bit of work to get there, whatever they want to get out of it. They can leave a lifetime of issues behind.
The criminal had struck in the sleepy town. On day one, police had found CCTV of their suspect, but he was well covered up, so they didn't know who he was.
I took the focus and tried to look at what else had gone on in there beforehand to see if there was any similar types of crimes that had occurred before this offence. The only thing that happened around the time of the robbery was a domestic at an address down the end of Mid High Street that we were interested in.
We established that Helen had been staying at the house. He was the partner of one of the ladies who was living in the house, and he'd since left. His last name was Smith, and he was in his 20s.
This lateral thinking had led to the first breakthrough for Operation Fathom, a potential name. Day 2 of the fast-moving investigation now turned to a database search around the surname Smith.
We conducted an open source search on social media, and he had a profile on Facebook. There were some photographs on there. He resembled the person who we had identified in the CCTV.
Operation Fathom seemed to be progressing until further digging revealed a problem.
We searched James Smith on our police intelligence system, and we soon discovered that actually James Smith was an alias.
The armed robber's real identity remained a mystery, so they turned back to their strongest, the house in Lyd where Smith had stayed.
We had an address where we thought that our robber had come from. We were more confident at this point. It was about them trying to get back down to see if we could put more meat on the bone. Could we get any more CCTV going back towards this specific address?
Day 3 of the investigation. With the clock ticking, Operation Fathom returned to Lyd.
The quality of the CCTV.
Hey, W's in the chat, let's go! Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well, guys!
Had run away after committing the robbery. We had to walk the route to identify any.
Thank you for the dogs, don't forget to subscribe!
After trawling the high street, officers found themselves outside the house where the robber had been staying.
This address was just off the high street, so what else could we do to try and put him near that address?
We noticed that they had a Ring doorbell camera.
We asked if we could have a look through the footage and see if we could get an image of who this lad was.
They let us review their Ring doorbell footage. We were able to go back to the date of the incident. We saw that he left the house wearing the clothing that was seen in the CCTV. It's a lot clearer, where you could see his face, and it was easy to identify distinguishable features.
He fitted the size, the build, the height.
We quickly established that it was him. We were related because we knew that we were one step closer to finding out who he was.
This was a major breakthrough. Now armed with the doorbell footage and even more CCTV from the high street, officers tried to piece together the moments that led up to the armed robbery.
There were some CCTV opportunities in back streets. He left the address, walking down these back streets, and he went back the same way. Although we couldn't see exactly where he went, he generally walked into the direction of the address that we were concentrating our efforts on at this point.
The case against the unknown suspect was building, and further digging at last revealed what they hoped was his real identity. But arresting him would not be easy.
We established that this alias name came back on the search for the person who committed this crime. The suspect has previously been convicted of robbery offences.
Didn't know where he was, didn't know where he would be. He could have been anywhere in the county, it could have been anywhere in the country, to be quite honest. Then did a little bit of phone work around our target's phone, and his phone suggesting that he was living in Chatham. He was then researching addresses and locations in that area through whatever means we can get a hold of.
Finally, 8 days after the armed street robbery, the police were ready to arrest the prime suspect.
We established the address of where he might be staying,
which was a house of multiple occupancy.
And on the 22nd of February in the early morning, we all travelled up to Chatham.
Knocked on the door, covered the front, covered the back, make sure there could be no escape. One of the other residents has let us in. We've gone up to his room.
He woke up and opened the door. Soon after that, he was under arrest.
He was transferred to a custody suite and was soon face to face with PC West and PC Drake.
A game of move it or lose it.
Would you know what a robbery is? Taking something that's yours without the intention of giving it back, or using some method of violence.
Initially, our suspect was quite confident, I remember rightly.
From what you showed me, it's suspicious like someone's walking down the road with a hood up and their face covered. If I saw that immediately, I'd raise alarm bells. It wasn't
so I'll be having a robbery right now.
Out on the thief is how I would describe his behaviour.
You're asking me questions, I'm going to ask you a question. DNA in the past. Surely if he's rubbing into the past.
We're his potential back robberies.
Is that you in the great league nice shop? He looks quite well looking up. Was that you? That's not very talk to him.
He refused to accept any involvement in the robbery whatsoever.
Who's that man? That man was not certainly wearing my jacket that I've got on now, just a great hoodie. Without potentially that sort of like access to I think that would go best.
Cut rubbish. If that's not you, who is it?
He denied that this was him, despite the strongest evidence, and he suggested that it was somebody else who let themselves into the house and then they went
Listen, no, I'm not saying why
When somebody denies it, it's not a massive issue. If you know your case as well as we do this one, we didn't need a confession. The evidence was there, it was him. So if he wants to sit and lie to us for an hour, back on the line.
The suspect's refusal to confess meant the case against him had to be watertight. The team waited on the results of the ID parade, which was now crucial.
The ID parade was carried out, and one of my colleagues in the ID team called me up soon after and he said, it's a positive identification.
The offender was charged with robbery, possession of a bladed article, and possession of cannabis. At court, he finally confessed by pleading guilty. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison and a further 4 years on licence after his release.
To get the outcomes was brilliant, and the victim was absolutely over the moon, which is, without sounding too silly, that is what it did. To hear her crying, good happy tears, was brilliant.
Recent government estimates suggest that over 838,000 people take part in metal detecting. It's a popular hobby. But not all of these detectorists are doing it legitimately. Historic England estimates that nearly 1 in 5 of the country's treasured listed buildings have been targeted by criminals. And metal detecting is one of the favourite tactics.
I've been in the police for almost 2 decades. You kind
kind of get used to your bread and butter policing, although it's always kind of evolving.
In 2020, across Europe, over 94,000 artifacts from illicit excavations were seized. In Cheshire, police decided to play their part in stopping this type of crime.
So in 2019, we started a rural crime team that was dedicated to look after rural crime, wildlife crime, heritage crime, and waste crime. Let's get confidence back in rural policing. Let's get people reporting it, feeling like their concerns are going to be taken seriously.
In December 2019, Cheshire's Rural Crime Unit received reports of strange activity at a remote local castle.
One of our fantastic sites, Beeston Castle, has been targeted by nighthawkers. Nighthawkers is this unusual name for those who take out their metal detectors, go out into the cover of darkness and dig up historic artifacts with no permissions in place.
The remains of 800-year-old Beeston Castle are perched high on a crag above Cheshire Plain. It's extremely isolated and typical of the historic sites across the country that have previously yielded thousands of pounds of irreplaceable treasure.
Where do we even start with this? It's a huge area, it being a rural location. You haven't got like the CCTV, you haven't got all the other bits that you normally get in an urban area.
Sergeant Simpson assigned a crack team to tackle this very unique crime.
My job as a supervisor is really easy when I've got a really enthusiastic team. They do all the hard work in that sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking no one else is doing anything.
Get the right result. So he was first choice to get stuck in.
Just being out there and trying to help the rural communities, because I want a passion really for policing the rural area. Being brought up around in the countryside, in the back and beyond, I've always had appreciation for the countryside.
It's a partnership thing when it comes to policing our heritage. We need experts. You know, the police, we do not know everything. We need all the help we can get. So we go to our partners like Historic England and Mark Harrison.
I'm the head of Heritage Crime Strategy for Historic England. My role came about as a result of a report into illicit metal detecting. We've now got the capacity, the capability.
I mean, the guy's just not dying, like, what the fuck?
And to bring those people to justice.
The team's first task was to understand what the thieves had done.
We had training to identify the work on metal detectorists. It was about 40-50 holes dug. They were clear, spade marks, metal discarded, left by the holes. It was a mess.
They don't call them burglars.
Like, what the fuck? Why are they not taking damage?
And that's what these people are.
And then we had another report a couple of weeks afterwards for more damage to the site. 75 holes had been found within the grounds of the castle.
Fucking joke, their players weren't taking damage.
Pattern of crime sort of occurring at the castle. Because we
They're
didn't
fucking
really have very
cheats.
much to go on at that point.
Police had no idea precisely what had been taken, and identifying the criminals was impossible without CCTV or witnesses.
Shit,
The team had to wait for the thieves' next move and hope they could respond quick enough.
Real concern was, during that time, what could they do with it? They could sell the articles. There was a lucrative black market. We wanted to be that team that recovered stolen treasure from a castle and returned it to them. And we had this phenomenal break. It was the day prior to New Year's Eve. Someone was trying to sell some of the artifacts that we believed had been taken from Beeston Castle.
The artifacts included a valuable Bronze Age axe head, the first clue that the stolen goods could have significant financial worth. All holiday festivities were quickly cancelled.
There lies a chance. It couldn't be a worst case scenario in terms of timings for us. We've all got family plans, and yet we had this information that we couldn't just sit on. As soon as the shops reopened again, there was a chance that these items would be lost. We started to get this warrant sorted. Now we had to go to an out-of-hours magistrate to be able to get that sworn out. Then it was about trying to make sure we got the right people in place to put a door through, the right arrest teams, interview teams, and so on. And that can be a real logistical nightmare.
The two suspects lived on the edge of Manchester.
Okay, right. You're gonna have to be handcuffed.
We searched his dress and found defensive equipment. A lot of it was items that weren't of any interest or sort of value.
That's fine. We'll deal with that.
Everything rested on finding something at the home of the second suspect.
We turned up at the next address and he was quite happy to talk to us about the finds and in fact led us straight to where some of the items were, which were located under his bed.
Plus it didn't help start that match, being down fucking to 4 players when they had 6.
The item that we weren't looking for, which was a Bronze Age axe head, wasn't there either.
The investigation had hit a brick wall. Cheshire Police established Operation Roundhouse in 2019 to snare a night hawking gang, robbing historical sites for their priceless history. But after 2 weeks, the investigation hit a brick wall.
Look at that again.
They were certain they had the right men, but they hadn't found the stolen artefacts, so they didn't have a case.
So following the interviews then, they were both released under investigation.
Fucking job, we split it between the two of us and give one each.
This is standard in most investigations, but what the police uncovered was startling.
I examined the phones we discovered photographs on each of the Bronze Age axe heads. We also found a WhatsApp group.
And what there was on there was a discussion between the males talking about their involvement in this kind of activity, night walking, the locations they'd go to. And that was like a gold mine of information for us. It put many more suspects in the frame, and it really sort of cemented in just how involved the 2 suspects were.
The WhatsApp chat confirmed the gang's activity in Beeston Castle, but it also appeared in another night walking theft.
Also on there we have other heritage sites across England and Wales, a site called Rovish Abbey in South Yorkshire, which is a monastery, again by English heritage.
The case against the criminals was slowly building, but the investigation was about to take another turn.
We had contact from the suspect solicitor who offered up the location of the Bronze Age axe head to us. Want to carry them in?
Although the suspect had handed over the axe heads, police needed to link them to Beeston Castle, otherwise their case was still weak.
Effectively we recovered some of the stolen items, but how do you pop them to a certain location?
We've done other types of forensic work before, but we've never done soil analysis.
The axe heads were sent to a specialist lab in Switzerland for soil analysis.
I'm a physicologist, so I use different environmental traces to look at the relationship between potential exhibits and suspects. The Cheshire area is a sandstone area, but Beeston Castle itself sits on this promontory of very red, silty, sandy, local geology that's very specific to that area. We took the soils from Cheshire back. We knew that we were looking at a specific sandy type, and then we looked at the Bronze Age axe heads. And what we wanted to demonstrate is that they hadn't come from somewhere else. My initial gut feeling was that actually, because of the sandy component, there wouldn't be that much adhesion of soils to the object. But actually that wasn't a problem because all of the sand had pushed its way through over time into the base of the object and sort of accumulated. So we had this really nice adhesion of material at the bottom of the axe that we could look at. I was looking at the 2 soils and I was comparing them, and there was this moment where I thought, yes, these are the same soils. These Bronze Age axe heads have come from
what the actual fuck?
They are part of the archaeological landscape there.
With the axe heads directly linked to Beeston Castle, 3 months after the first reports came in, Operation Roundhouse was ready to arrest everyone in the gang's WhatsApp group.
We have now got this wonderful dilemma of obtaining 6 spots in total right across the sort of region in Manchester where the suspects live. We use the same kind of techniques that we've used to get into any property. So we have the rip saws, to realise this kind of crime is serious, and we're not going to just go and knock on doors politely. We wanted to show just how seriously we took heritage crime. We did find coins, other artefacts that we could link back to Beeston Castle and perhaps some of the places like the one in South Yorkshire as well. Once we got all that together, it was then a chance for us to kind of regroup and get those exhibits back to one location. And when it started coming through the door and people were arriving back with bags of coins and bags of items, it was a phenomenal feeling.
There were over 50 items recovered by police. The accents alone can sell for hundreds of pounds, but their irreplaceable nature makes it impossible to calculate their true value. 5 men were arrested. In court, they all admitted the charge of theft by finding. The 5 men are now barred from going anywhere near historic sites in England and Wales for 5 years.
What we're talking about here is a group of people that have no association with the site at all. They don't own it, they don't manage it. So this was just pure criminal behaviour.
When hardened criminals repeatedly evade justice, elite police units come together to crack these toughest cases.
Police officer!
My role is investigating serious and organised crime. We are a covert investigative team.
For the first time across the UK, we have exclusive access to the investigations of Britain's most talented detectives.
We spent 2 years putting together all of these tiny pieces of evidence. The most bizarre investigation I've been involved in.
And share the methods and evidence that can bring these criminals to book.
Handguns coming in from the United States, and heavy drugs, and a lot of money, and real.
This time, a gang of human trafficking young women for sex work in Bristol.
I could see her back off the car. There was a girl wearing a dressing gown. I got a feeling something wasn't right.
A dangerous county lines robbery
Yeah, the team's fucking shit.
The biggest problem we have is you just never know what's going to happen.
And the hunt for a vaccine fraudster in London.
The offender entered her premises. He put something sharp against us in two of the
No one.
left.
I joined the police 16 years ago. I've always been interested in the law.
Well, 5 of us have got 20 kills, and I'm the only one on my team. You've got 20.
I started as a response officer in East Bristol. East Bristol contains...
Fucking joke. Well, that's the end of the live stream chat about you enjoy.